We know you like talking Star Wars. We like talking Star Wars. So that's exactly what we're gonna do. This is The Wars and More.
So episode 100 is coming, and we got big plans, lots of good stuff coming. But this is episode 99, so we're gonna have to get through the little stuff first. This is The Wars and More. I'm Joe, and of course with me is my good buddy Doug. Hey Doug, how you doing this week?
Doing pretty good, Joe. How are you doing?
I'm doing pretty good. Not a whole lot going on. I mean, I guess it's not fair to say there's a lot going on, but it's a lot of little stuff, not a whole lot to really talk about. It's pretty straight to the point.
Yeah. Nothing super meaty that we get to sink our teeth into as far as news goes. But,
right.
You know.
But this is our calm before the Wars and More storm that we're going to have.
Yes.
Yeah, we've got a lot of fun stuff planned. We got guests coming on. We're really going to make a celebration out of it and really just have fun. Just, shoot the Star Wars crap, like.
Absolutely.
So.
And some more.
I mean, I guess I can tease a little bit, and give away a little bit, anyone who's listened to the show for a while has heard Hunter on here before. And Hunter's one of the guests we're planning on having.
Oh, yeah.
And we all know when Hunter's on, I mean, rabbit hole isn't really the good way to put it.
Oh, yeah. Conversations go deep.
Yes. And I'm really looking forward to that. I really have a good time every time he's been on. So there's our one tease.
Right.
And there's more than that coming. So that's exciting.
Absolutely.
But, I mean, other stuff that is exciting, D23 is heading our way, and it's, we're about, a little less than a month out now?
Right, yeah, right around the corner.
And, I mean, with the exception of The Rise of Skywalker, we expect to see something there for that. But I think the other thing we're watching very, very closely is Disney Plus.
Yes.
And hearing more about what's going to be on there. Star Wars and beyond.
Right.
We keep hearing rumblings of what might be there and, what will be available to us at launch.
Right.
It's gone everywhere from everything to not quite everything.
Right. Yeah, it's funny because, I look at it like, for me, I understand it's not going to be necessarily a fully complete library, Disney library necessarily. I don't know. I guess my point is it doesn't have to be for me right away. I know that it's all going to rotate in there eventually. So,
well, realistically, I mean, they're still going to want to sell their digital releases and discs and things like that.
Yeah, sure.
On top of this.
Yeah.
This is meant to be supplemental,
Right.
But as far as Star Wars goes, I mean, it seems like we're going to get a lot. I mean, I guess the first look panel that they're going to have on August 23rd will be our first glimpse into what's actually going to be coming.
Okay.
Officially. We haven't heard officially what's all going to be there. We've heard everybody's speculating.
Right.
And people saying, oh, sources within Disney. Yeah, we all know how that goes.
Yeah, exactly.
You know, this guy says he works at Disney. He says this is going to be there. Well, it's not necessarily what's going to be there. But let's just take a quick rundown of what is rumored to be available Star Wars wise at launch in November here. They're saying it's going to be the original trilogy, prequel trilogy.
Okay.
Additionally, will be Star Wars The Force Awakens, Rogue One: A Star Wars Story, and Star Wars The Last Jedi. Oh, and Solo: A Star Wars Story.
Okay.
All right. So it's looking pretty complete, right?
Yeah, exactly.
If that wasn't enough, The Mandalorian will be launching.
Oh, right. Yep.
Star Wars Rebels will be available in its entirety.
Nice.
And the Clone Wars will be available.
Wow.
Now, that is 6 seasons of the Clone Wars.
Right. Yeah, we're going to have to wait a little bit for season 7, right?
Yeah, I don't know how soon that's going to... Oh, yeah, it says right here, the final season of Clone Wars is set to debut by the end of the year. So it's launching in November.
Yeah.
So within a month, 2-month period, you're going to see the final season of the Clone Wars.
Okay.
So, yeah, this is looking pretty complete.
Yeah.
They're saying... Oh, and even better, they're saying within a year's time, you will see the rise of Skywalker.
Okay. That seems right.
And then that Cassian Andor series,
Yeah.
probably won't see that in the first year.
Okay. I think we kind of expected that to come a little bit later. I got a feeling if they take any kind of cues from other streaming services, that, you know, we're going to have The Mandalorian, and they'll probably have staggered releases if they can do it, you know, of the 2 different series, and then The Rise of Skywalker when it comes out. Maybe just, you know, keep that carrot dangling out in front of us, right? I mean...
Right. You'll probably see the Cassian series somewhere in between season 1 and season 2 of The Mandalorian.
Exactly. And then sprinkled in there somewhere would be The Rise of Skywalker.
Yep.
Holiday special.
The big question mark, and kind of odd to me, is there is no hint at when or if Resistance will be available.
So, yeah, that seems odd to me as well. I would love to see it on there. I'm the fact that we aren't hearing anything about Resistance being on Disney Plus kind of scares me, because is that a tactic to get Star Wars fans to have Disney Plus and also keep your cable subscriptions so you have Disney XD? You know, that's
Disney Channel, right?
Is it? Okay. So Disney Channel. So
yeah, maybe.
Yeah, you know, it's like, how many streaming services can you keep?
Right. And that is probably more so pressure from the cable companies.
Right.
You know, like, hey, look, don't put everything on here. We'll just drop your channels, you know?
Yeah.
Which, I mean, who are they really threatening there?
Yeah, I know.
I'm not saying that that's happening, but
no, we're speculating as far as that goes. But I just get this feeling like, there are those who would say that Disney's always trying to get you coming and going, right? So, but I will say this: it would be really, really nice to have that Star Wars catalog you just listed off in your pocket, ready to go, streaming anytime you want to watch it. So, I mean, sitting at the dentist office waiting room, Star Wars, wherever.
Well, even with Resistance missing,
yeah,
you're going to have plenty of that.
Yeah, totally.
Star Wars at your fingertips all the time.
Yep.
I mean, a lot of us have that anyway.
True.
But this is just going to make it easier.
I was just going to say, it's going to be a matter of convenience, I think.
Yeah.
Because, it's going to be as easy, I don't know, maybe easier than just popping up Netflix,
Well, it's definitely going to be way easier than downloading these and cycling them out on your phone or your tablet or whatever. Now you'll just be able to stream them at any point.
Exactly.
Yeah, that's pretty fantastic. And we'll definitely be watching here in August because I'm pretty sure we're going to get a better sneak peek at The Mandalorian than we've gotten so far.
That's the word I'm hearing as well. And I gotta say, every little, there seems to be like things are rising to a fever pitch for The Mandalorian. People are really excited about this series. And I can't say that I blame them. I mean, everything we've seen so far looks really good. So, that's for me. That is what I am most excited about for what's next in Star Wars.
Absolutely. So, keeping with The Mandalorian, Jon Favreau.
Yeah.
Yeah, he got some advice from George Lucas, and he shared that advice with GQ.
So, he said, one thing George Lucas said to me was, remember, John, the real audience for all stories and myths is the kids that are coming of age. Right. So sorry for the poor read, but so it's for the kids that are coming of age. That's what these type of stories are for. And really, that advice, that isn't wavering one little bit from what George Lucas has said all along about Star Wars.
Right.
He talks about A New Hope, decades ago, being for, like 12-year-olds, kids who are just starting to like get to that point in their life where they're having to start figure things out, and hopefully they can, take lessons from these stories and apply them to their life. In fact, Favreau went on to say, we enjoy the stories as adults, but really, storytelling is about imparting the wisdom of the previous generations onto the children who are becoming adults, and giving them a context for how to behave, how to learn the lessons of the past without making the mistakes on their own. So, it's basically it in a nutshell. So,
yeah,
I love that. That is so much of what I've taken from Star Wars in the past, right? Those types of lessons,
Mm-hmm.
and it's not like how do I put it? Like a really narrow field type lesson, like, don't touch the stove because it's hot type lesson, right? It's a broad overview of, how things are in life, right? Obviously, you look at A New Hope. I mean, Luke, who most young people would have probably identified with in that movie, loses his aunt and uncle, goes on this epic journey, saves the princess, kind of, with her help. And it's there's just, I don't know, it's they've called it all kinds of things, a coming of age story, it's a whatever. It's something that is intended for kids that age, but as an adult, you can go back and revisit and reapply at any time. You know what I mean?
Well, I mean, so they mention as much in the article. I mean, it's the hero's journey, Joseph Campbell's hero's journey.
Right. Yes.
And it's that hero's rite of passage kind of story, and it gets repeated over and over and over again in Star Wars.
Yeah.
I mean, every series you watch, like series of films, you get the same thing with Ahsoka. You get the same thing with Ezra.
Right.
It's a repeating thread.
Yes. And go ahead.
And each time, it's targeting those kids that are coming of age in a new generation.
Right.
The reason we all can still love it is because we still connect with that.
Totally.
Because we connect it to our childhood.
Yes.
We don't love Star Wars because Star Wars is adult. We don't love Star Wars because Star Wars is for adults.
Correct.
We love Star Wars because Star Wars connects us with our childhood.
Absolutely.
It gives us a youthful vigor, like it allows us to still connect with our imaginations, our youthful imaginations.
Yeah, absolutely. It does all of that. And going back to those stories, those stories can still be applied to your daily operations as an adult. I mean, we all go through things that we can look at Star Wars and go, yeah, that's kind of how that went there, right? But I also wanted to say that this story is this basically this story has been told over and over in Star Wars in different ways, but this story has also been told for multiple millennia over time, right? I mean, these are the characters change, the authors change, but it's the same stories that were told in Greek mythology.
The motivations remain the same.
Yeah, exactly, and it doesn't get old because it hits home with everyone.
Right.
So,
but I mean, that really is the best advice because
I was just going to say, I hope Favreau heeds that advice, which I'm sure he will, because again, he's an excellent storyteller in his own right. And, who wouldn't listen when they're getting advice from George Lucas?
Right. And at the same time, John's listening because you hear this week, and last week we talked about, he was talking about sitting down with Dave Filoni to work this stuff out was like them getting their Star Wars toys out of the box and like they're going to play Star Wars.
Yeah.
If that's his mindset, he's hitting this right on the head.
Absolutely. Yeah. Touching base with your childhood again, like you said.
Yeah. That's, and it's something I've said time and time again, as adult Star Wars fans, it's something we lose sight of sometimes in our conversations.
Right.
We tend to try to want to connect Star Wars with this, while it is a grandiose story and it is, this epic story, we keep wanting to connect it with that before connecting it with youth and imagination.
Right.
So we're sometimes we start at the wrong point. You know what I'm saying? We start our analysis and our breakdown from the wrong perspective sometimes.
Yeah, I agree.
And sometimes we just need to take a step back and remember, like, look, for one, we truly aren't the target audience here.
True.
While we get brought into that, we get brought into that for a different reason. Because we get brought into that because they're targeting us connecting with our youthful imagination.
Right.
So while we're not the principal target audience, we are part of that splash zone, if you will.
Uh-huh.
So it's targeting the youth, the kids, the coming of age kids.
Yeah, totally.
But we're getting drawn into that because we are channeling that part of ourselves. That connection we still have to our past.
Yes.
So
I as you're explaining, you know your point here, I'm thinking of, I guess a different way to put this is, like, as we go to watch Star Wars films, we should come at it from the perspective of what it's like to be a young person just getting started on your own in the world, kinda, right? You may still be at home but you're starting to think about things that are more adult, and how you can maybe make a difference in the world, things like that.
mm-hmm.
As grown adults, we shouldn't come to our analysis of Star Wars as though we're a couple of, like, talking heads on CNN or something. If you get my meaning. Like, if that's part of our that's where we're at in our lives now, and we're concerned with things that may be on something like a CNN. Don't drag that baggage into the Star Wars with us, right?
Right. Well, that being said, like, while Star Wars has a long history of connecting world events and politics and things like that into its story, you definitely shouldn't get hung up with that aspect of it.
Right.
The idea here is to let go of all the crap that's dragging us down in the real world.
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay?
That's well, again, George Lucas called Star Wars, the original Star Wars, before it was called A New Hope, a fairy tale in space. So that's exactly what he's going for, is the younger people needing a fairy tale for their time, right? And I still think that's a need that we have today, especially at a time like today where kids are, I don't want to say forced, but they are able to access more grown-up things a lot sooner in life than we ever had to. And they can use something like Star Wars to just disconnect from that for a while and get those lessons that are ancient to help them, look at a broader view of the world and life.
Yeah. While the underlying lessons in Star Wars will help you with all that real world stuff, that can't be your anchor to it.
Right.
Your anchor to it has to be going into a realm of make-believe, a fantasy realm.
For sure, because that's exactly what it is.
Like, okay, so take The Last Jedi, for example.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, in The Last Jedi, one of the first things that I saw pop up on all the big, social media threads and all that was the complaint about the bombers in the beginning of the film.
Right.
And I see this constantly. How do bombs fall in space?
Right.
And then I'm sitting there, I'm going, look, whoa. Let's step back for a second. Are we Trekkies all of a sudden?
Right.
Like, is this where we're at? We're worried about science in Star Wars?
Yeah.
No. Star Wars is more like Lord of the Rings than it is like Star Trek.
Yeah, totally.
Okay? It is fantasy. It is in that realm. Suspend disbelief.
Right. Not to mention, I can explain that one away really easy. So
can I, but let's not do that because this is Star Wars.
I agree. But, hey. Just saying.
I know. But like I said, this is Star Wars. We're not supposed to worry about that crap.
Right.
In the Star Wars universe, yes, bombs can fall in space. Period.
Right.
No explanation needed.
Right.
It's Star Wars. No one asked why, Luke's during the trench run.
Uh-huh.
No one asked why Luke's proton torpedoes could just all of a sudden come to the middle and get sucked into this vent.
Right. Oh, it's an exhaust port, by the way, which,
Yeah, exhaust port. My bad.
But it shouldn't be like, what I'm saying is, it's exhaust.
Yeah, it shouldn't be sucking in.
Right, it shouldn't be sucking in. Things should be shooting out of it, right.
Right.
So, but hey, yeah, whatever.
If we want to go all scientific on it, Star Wars has been flawed from the very, very, very start.
Right.
So that's not what this is about here.
If anything, I would say that just to the point of what you brought up, the bombers harken back to what George Lucas did in his research for the X-Wing battles and stuff. He went back and looked at old World War II dogfight footage and old movies where they had dogfights in them. And this right here reminds me of, like, the fighters escorting the Flying Fortress bombers,
Mm-hmm.
Very similar. You have a bunch of little fighters buzzing around trying to protect the bombers, and it harkens back to what George did. So
yeah. And that being said, too, no one gave a damn about how bombs fell in space during Empire.
Right.
The TIE bombers in the asteroid field.
Yeah.
No one said a damn thing about how are bombs falling in space. It's
true.
Star Wars. They just do.
Right.
While there is some, scientific explanations in Star Wars, but very minimal. Very minimal.
Yeah. Yeah, for sure.
Like I said, it's fantasy.
Yep.
Suspend disbelief. Just have fun.
Exactly.
Watch the story. Don't question crap like that. That's not what it's about. You start questioning stuff like that, you're missing the point. You're missing the rest of the story.
Right.
So, I don't know. It's just...
Yeah, those aren't the things that we need to be discussing. There's far better things that have to do with the story and plot that, deserve our attention.
Which it is. It's a product of today's day and age. We're just cynical of everything.
True.
I mean, we as a society, there is not a person out there that can say something and we're not cynical about it. It's just, that's today's day and age.
And it's true.
But whatever that may be and whatever the cost for that is, when you go into a movie theater to watch Star Wars, you need to take that crap and put it aside.
Agreed. 100%.
Because Star Wars is not the real world. It'll never be the real world, no matter how much you want it to be. Go in there and just have yourselves a damn good time.
Exactly.
I guess that's really all I got to say about that.
It's probably enough.
Have something to add to the conversation? Or you just want to let us know how we're doing? Email us, show@thewarsandmore.com. That's the best place to get in on the action. But if social media is a little more to your liking, @The Wars and More on Twitter is always a good place to interact with us. And we're also on Facebook, facebook.com/The Wars and More. And of course, your portal to this and everything else, The Wars and More, is thewarsandmore.com.
All right, let's lighten the mood a little bit. And you know, now that I just said that, this is a funny way to say we're going to lighten the mood. So, Hallmark.
Nice, yeah.
You know these Hallmark keepsakes that they do, these ornaments?
Right, yeah.
You know, I've got a few Star Wars ones, and I really enjoy them. But this one is just, it's kind of funny.
Right.
But yet morbid at the same time.
Yeah, yeah.
So, with that being said, I absolutely have to get my hands on this. So, one of the 2020 releases for the Hallmark keepsake ornaments is going to be Vader choking Admiral Mahdi.
Nice.
You seen this thing?
I have, and yeah. I don't want to say it's funny, but it makes me smile a little bit. It's
definitely, it makes you chuckle, and
yeah.
it's definitely going to be a conversation starter if it's on your tree.
Exactly. Yeah. I think that's one of those scenes that we all still chuckle at when we watch it, because, you know, we all know.
I'm going to say this.
What's that?
I'm going to say this. So, when my family sees this on my Christmas tree,
Uh-huh.
the thing that's going to make it really funny is because it's going to be on my Christmas tree, and my family is going to look at me and say, "Wow, you're going to hell."
Nice.
You got a guy being choked
Right.
on your tree.
Yeah.
So, and I'm going to be like, yeah,
Hey,
it's Vader.
kind of deserved it, right? I mean,
Yeah, I mean, like, he should have shut his damn mouth.
right, yeah. Sorcerer's ways. I'll show you some sorcerer's ways, yeah.
Like, oh yeah, what do you think about this? Huh?
Right.
I don't hear you talking now.
That's right.
What's that? What's that? What's that?
As you wish.
Yep. Yeah, I really, this one makes me chuckle.
Yeah, it's not what you would think of when you think of, you know, when someone says, hey, you've got Star Wars, keepsake ornaments. You think of, okay, maybe it's, an X-Wing or something like that, even TIE Fighter, whatever. Something that's...
So literally everything else that's in this collection coming out?
Right. So you saw those, but it could be also even, maybe different colored lightsabers, things like that,
Uh-huh.
But, stuff that you identify as Star Wars, but, not, I don't know. This one moment, Vader, yeah. Pretty much, Force assault right there.
Yeah.
I don't know. It just doesn't scream Christmas to me, but hey, it's...
Yeah.
It's all right.
It's, I mean, now that I see this, I kind of want a Christmas card with this on there too,
Right.
Like, you look at the front, it says like Happy Holidays, and you open it up and it's Vader choking Mahdi.
Yeah. Yeah. I like it. You just got to think of some sort of Hallmark greetings to write in there. Yeah, I can't come up with anything either.
Season's greetings. Your greetings are insignificant compared to the power of the Force.
I like it. There you go. You got it. You should see if Hallmark's hiring.
Hey, man, I can't take credit. The stuff writes itself.
Yeah, exactly.
So yeah, that's a that's a fun one, and definitely one I'm going to have to add to my collection. I have a feeling, though, this is going to be a hard one to get.
Yeah, it might be. Yeah.
You know, there is always one every season that's really hard to get your hands on.
Right.
And this is going to be that one. I just feel it.
Oh, I have a feeling you're right.
I mean, I guess as a consolation prize, I'll take that X-Wing up there. That thing looks awesome.
It does look awesome, yes.
But I really want this one. But I will take the consolation prize if I have to.
Yeah.
All right. So since we're talking about merchandise, y'all have heard me. One thing that really grinds my gears when it comes to Star Wars merchandise is Hasbro.
Ah, yeah.
Well, things are looking up for Hasbro. And if you are a Star Wars collector, you are instantly saying, what? What the hell?
Right. Yeah. Yeah, there's no evidence this should be the case.
Yes. In the Star Wars realm of merchandise, Hasbro should be falling on their face.
Right.
Okay, that's just the way we would be looking at it, because trying to find Star Wars merchandise these days, unless you are, first in line in the pre-orders, you're having trouble getting stuff.
Right.
And it's really a sad state. It's super sad. I mean, we've had some of our pre-orders canceled.
Oh, really? Wow.
Because in the email we get from the place that we ordered it from says, we don't plan on getting any more inventory. This is all the suppliers supplying us with, blah, 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 blah.
Wow.
So, fortunately, we've been able to react to those and find it elsewhere, but usually at a slightly higher price.
Of course.
So, yeah. How they're doing better is a mystery, kinda. And the reason I say kinda is because I play Magic the Gathering.
Right.
Well, Magic the Gathering is the reason they're doing good.
Aha.
So, yeah, they are looking at a net revenue for Q2 up 9%, largely led by Magic the Gathering tabletop and digital platforms, plus growth in the franchise brands. And, bland was kind of a appropriate word.
Right.
Monopoly and Play-Doh.
Monopoly.
Yes.
Wow.
So apparently this rebranding of Monopoly that they do continuously,
right,
still sells.
Like a version of Monopoly for every adjacent interest you might have.
Right, and I say that with disdain, like I don't own a Nightmare Before Christmas Monopoly, 2 Star Wars Monopolies.
Right.
Like, so I guess I'm partially at fault here.
So am I. I have a Star Wars Monopoly. I have a Mustang Monopoly. Yeah, I'm with you.
So the disdain is coming from a place of fault.
Right.
Like, not saying I want Hasbro to fail here. That's not what I'm saying at all.
No.
But my issue here is that Hasbro is not going to get the message.
Right.
That what they're doing with Star Wars is insufficient.
Yeah. I guess from a business standpoint, this is what you call a diverse portfolio. And this is why you have one.
And I'm sure we're going to see a little bit of a boom in Star Wars merchandise with the Triple Force Friday coming up. Yeah. So we'll see stuff in the brick and mortars.
Right.
But I have a feeling that will be once again short-lived.
Yeah, probably so.
And that is very disheartening.
Yeah, I mean, I I don't want to see the market flooded with inventory that, is too much. But you got to be able to make it available to everyone who wants something, I would think. Not everyone necessarily, but, sounds to me like there's...
You should at least have a chance at getting merchandise.
Yes, there you go.
And, like for me, I put myself at a little bit of an advantage here because on Force Friday, I'll probably go out at midnight and I'll be able to find merchandise.
Right.
That's what you got to do anymore if you want Star Wars merchandise.
Right.
And I think that's a sad state of affairs. I mean, so we just had this big talk about what Star Wars is for.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
You can't on one end say Star Wars is for kids.
Right.
And then on the other end, limit merchandise for the sake of collectors. Because kids are not your collectors.
Exactly.
Okay?
Yeah. So I'm reminded of the first Christmas after A New Hope, right?
Right.
Kenner didn't have the first wave of characters ready to go, so they sold the empty boxes, right? With, the promise of figures as soon as they were available.
Right.
So this reminds me of that, but this seems like they're trying to achieve something like that, but it's forced, right?
Mm-hmm.
It's a forced scarcity, right? In a similar fashion to back in the old days when a Star Wars movie was hitting a theater, there were lines around the building. People were camping out, right?
Mm-hmm.
All the way up until just this year, right? We had similar situations for celebrations and things of that nature, correct?
Yep.
That's what they like to show on the news. People lining up for Star Wars. We need to get beyond that, I think, a little bit. Yes, it was a phenomenon once. Let's move on. I think it's time to, I don't know.
I guess my main point is they're pushing the Black Series.
Right.
This is the Black Series and vintage figures is like all that they push anymore. And that is the extent of what you'll see on the shelves. I mean, I can't imagine that Star Wars toys, if available and affordable for kids to play with, wouldn't sell.
Right. That's what I'm talking about. That's what needs to be available. Stuff for kids to play with.
And that's basically my gripe. Like, I'm griping about the Black Series as well for collectors' sake.
Right.
Because it's super hard for us to get our hands on this anymore.
Right.
But at the same time, there is not any Star Wars merchandise being released that's affordable for kids to play with that is on shelves. I mean, go to the stores. I mean, okay, yeah, they've got 15 of the Force Link starter sets with Han Solo in it, right?
Right.
Where's the rest of the Force Link action figures?
Yeah.
And does it all have to be Force Link? Like,
I'm with you.
I understand this whole digital thing and everything being interactive.
Uh-huh.
In one respect, because that is the world we're living in.
Yep.
But to think that kids are incapable of having toys that use their imagination is asinine.
Yes. Totally agree there, because that as a kid, that's some of the funnest times is making up your own Star Wars stories.
Yeah. I can't imagine that that's dead. And you can't say that it is if you don't try it.
Right.
So the Star Wars merchandise is just, it's disgusting to me right now. And it's, yeah. I would just like to see more effort put into it. But obviously, I digress.
Yeah, I mean, I'm with you, though. I'm definitely from that generation that grew up playing with Star Wars figures. And, you know, as far as any collectible Star Wars figures goes, no, mine are all heavily used that I still have left, right? Because, God, they would get lost and this and that. But, you know, I can't imagine that kids, I don't know, wouldn't want to do that today. If they don't, I guess it's a different world, right? But
I don't think it is, though. I don't think they're giving kids enough credit here.
Agreed. I agree with that 100%. I think there's a lot of areas where we don't give kids enough credit.
Yeah, not everything has to be app-enabled and...
Right.
And I don't think they're going to know that unless they give that a shot. I think kids are less interested with the whole Force Link thing, with having this wristband on that, you know, makes their figures talk and things like that, than just playing with the damn figures.
Right.
You know, I
Well, those sort of things, you know, it's a new technology and it's cool and all that, but it's also limiting, you know. It keeps your imagination to a narrow band, basically. You know.
Yeah, I mean, so I'll use some of my own experience as an example here.
Okay.
Now, while I have seen my nieces play with, you know, all this app-enabled stuff, and, you know, they're running around with tablets and things like that, right?
Yeah.
But I've also seen them use their imagination with toys.
Right.
I've seen it with my own two eyes. Kids are totally capable of this. And let's be real, it's better for them.
I'd like to think so, yeah.
You know, your imagination sparks creativity, which, you know, it just betters them along this path we call life, right?
Yep.
To be totally cheesy about it. And, you know, it's like, okay, another example. My nieces, one of their favorite games to play when they visit.
Yep.
All right. And this is pulling one out of the I almost said a bad word. This is pulling one out of the archives, if you will.
Okay.
They love playing Kerplunk.
Oh, nice.
Kerplunk. I mean, does it get much more simple than that?
No.
Marbles and sticks, dude.
Right. Yeah. That's funny.
So I don't feel like they're giving kids enough credit. They need to try harder.
Yeah.
But in trying harder, try less.
Yeah. I agree.
You know the saying, man, keep it simple, stupid.
Right. Right.
So, yeah. Like I said, I digress.
Right on.
All right. I think last thing on the docket here. So I saw an article on Newsweek that sparked my interest.
Okay.
And the headline is Star Wars The Rise of Skywalker leaks suggest Death Stars are back.
Really?
Yeah.
Plural?
Yes.
Okay.
But then I read the article.
Oh, okay.
So it goes on to talk about basically the Emperor having a secret armada, if you will.
Okay.
It's not a term they use, but it's what I would call it. Hiding in the fleet, hiding in the unknown regions.
Okay.
All right. This would include your red Sith troopers.
Right.
And They even suggest a jump trooper variant.
Okay.
Then they said, stuff like there's red TIE fighters and things like that. But they talk about Star Destroyers that are also enhanced with each ship equipped with a planet-destroying weapon like the one on the Death Star itself.
Huh.
So that's hardly Death Stars.
Yeah.
But interesting concept.
Yes, it is an interesting concept.
I think one of the whole points of the Death Star was like that amount of firepower required a structure of that size.
Well, it all depends on what we're talking here, because Legends material had it. I forget which book this is from. This is the they were doing R&D for the Death Star's super weapon in the Maw, like the Kessel Maw, because it was so hard to navigate. They could do that stuff in secret, and they had just the Death Star gun.
Okay.
And I believe that was Admiral Dahlia, I think was the name. Dahlia, I think. I'd have to look that back up, and I forget. Anyway, I think she was in charge of that installation, and after the events of Return of the Jedi, we have the Death Star's gun that we had to deal with then at that point. Now, again, that's all Legends material now, so could be an interesting way of incorporating some of that idea from back then into some of the new stuff. This also, to me, harkens back to the Aftermath series. In that trio of books, there's one of the many plot lines throughout those books. One of them was Emperor Palpatine having a contingency plan for if something went bad with the Empire. So he had manufacturing capabilities, military forces, ships, command structure, all set up in the outer reaches of the galaxy. So this could have something to do with that. Yeah.
Yeah, I hesitate to say that it could have something to do with that, just because if this is the Emperor's contingency plan, why is it taking so long to come to fruition?
Well, this is where we're probably going to learn in the movie something needs to be activated in order to engage his contingency plan. I mean, we may find out that Snoke was a puppet of Palpatine all along, and upon his death, the contingency plan gets activated. Or, it's Palpatine himself. Don't know. But I will say, this has something to do with his contingency plan, I believe. I mean, it has to. I don't see any other way around it, because, the Aftermath series is canon, in the new Disney canon, and there was definitely all of those things that I spoke of put into place in the outer reaches of the galaxy in case something happened to the Empire.
All right. Well, Do you
see a different angle for this for for the Sith troopers and having a whole fleet in reserve, things of that nature?
Well, so, okay. So you see the Sith trooper.
Yes.
Okay, it's very reminiscent of First Order armor.
Yes.
Okay, and I don't just say it like it's reminiscent. It's almost a direct lift of First Order armor.
Yes.
I have a hard time believing that the Emperor's contingency plan that involves amassing a fleet in the unknown reaches is going to advance its armor along with the First Order.
Well, I mean, they could be working in conjunction with each other. You know, like I said, if Snoke was somehow, and I don't know how, a puppet of Palpatine's, even at this late date for Palpatine, you know.
Yeah, but so if the rumors are to be believed.
Which rumors are those?
Just all the rumors that are compiled to this point for The Rise of Skywalker.
Okay.
Snoke and Palpatine were at odds with each other.
Okay.
So to think that that Snoke was somehow a puppet or working in conjunction with, I find hard to believe.
I don't.
I find it hard to believe even in the current canon, like, of what's established. Snoke didn't seem like a character to me, especially with his arrogance, as someone who was answering to someone else.
I don't think he might have. I don't necessarily think he was answering to Palpatine.
But this source says specifically that this fleet has been waiting in the unknown regions.
Uh-huh.
So a fleet lying in wait doesn't feel to me like something that Snoke would have any part of.
Well, he might not even know about it.
Right, but then the advancements still puzzle me.
Well,
and not only the advancements, but the similarity to the First Order.
Well, along those lines, then you could say the similarities between the First Order and the Empire stormtroopers are puzzling. I mean,
no, because
yeah. I mean, why would it even resemble the old stormtroopers? The Empire was defeated.
Yeah, but so the First Order seemed like I wouldn't even call it rising from the ashes of the Empire. With the way it seemed to me, it seemed like they were mimicking themselves after the Empire, more so than, rising from it.
Okay.
So they were copycats of sort. But the advancements were just advancements because of time. You know what I mean?
Yeah, yep. I still think Palpatine could be behind it all. If he somehow, I don't necessarily want to say survives, but is somehow has a hand in control. And when it comes to the regards of Snoke doesn't even necessarily need to know anything about Palpatine. You spoke of his arrogance. His arrogance would be exactly the sort of thing Palpatine would manipulate and use against him. We've seen that in the past.
Right.
With the Jedi. So, that's not too far-fetched for me. And as advancements are made because of time, I see no reason why Palpatine's army in waiting here wouldn't advance. And by the looks of the Sith Trooper armor and weaponry, maybe advanced a little more than a First Order Trooper.
I would agree with that. I don't know. It's hard to say. Like I don't know. I have a hard time believing that there's an entire fleet just waiting.
Well, that's one of those things that in the Aftermath series was never really resolved. All of these things, like this contingency plan, this whole infrastructure for creating a new generation of troopers and manufacturing and what did I call it before? A management crew, I guess,
Right.
was put in place in these books. But that's all we got. All that stuff was put in place, and then we know nothing more about it.
Well,
So,
yeah, it could be that.
it could be.
But I mean, throughout this time period, I mean, you're talking a lot of, like you said, management replacements.
Right. Yeah. Yeah, there's no doubt. Hux comes from that series. So it's you know, at the end of the third Aftermath book, you know, Hux is a young boy. So, you know, if that's any indication as to, you know, timelines, you know, I mean, and there's a lot of other young kids that were kind of taken at the same time as Hux was going to be groomed into his leadership position, that were, from what I can remember from the book, were being taken to be trained as troopers. So,
Well, I guess we'll see, right? Like,
yeah. It's hard to say. Like I said, that in the books, that was kind of an open-ended thing, not really resolved. And if that's what they're touching on here, it'll be interesting to see, you know, where it goes and how it could have been kept secret and how it would be implemented in the film. I guess the most interesting thing about what you said there, though, was, you know, Star Destroyers equipped with Death Star guns.
Yeah.
That right there could be a devastating thing to try and fight against.
Yeah, that's one way of putting it.
Yeah.
I mean, it's... We'll see, I guess. I, for one, don't give a lot of credit to this,
Right.
but...
And I guess I kind of see your point, too, because in order for this to all play out and make sense, it's going to have a lot of, you know, backstory set up to hold it up for us, you know? I mean,
Yep.
It's not going to, you can't just introduce it, here it is, and it doesn't really matter how it got there, right? I mean...
Yeah, for me, I guess the biggest thing for me is it's a tough pill to swallow with this being the conclusion.
Right.
It's a lot to bring in
Yep.
and then wrap up in one film.
Yes.
Like, because if it's something that can be brought in and wrapped up that quick, then the Emperor's plan was kind of crap.
Right. Yeah, there wasn't a whole lot of substance there. It's almost like some of that stuff should have been set up in the last movie. Yeah. I kid. But
Well, I mean, honestly, if that's the direction they're going to head, then yeah,
right.
it's a lot to put into the final movie.
Right.
And I guess rumor-wise, that's kind of been the consensus all along, is everything we're seeing on the rumor mill it's really a lot to put into the last film and then wrap up with a neat bow.
Yeah, for sure.
So, I don't know. For
Yeah.
me, like I said, I put this in the category of not going to happen. I think the Sith troopers and stuff like that will be whether it be a broken off faction within the First Order.
Right.
You know, like I mentioned before, a lot of times you see these empires, they come to power. You know, factionalism is something that happens,
Right.
especially when a major leader is taken out of the equation.
Right. Yeah.
So I could see more of something along the lines of the Sith Trooper and allegiances like that being more tied to the death of Snoke than the death of Palpatine.
Okay. I can see that.
Only because the death of Palpatine is, you're going to have to explain away 30 plus years of story.
Right.
I mean, why were they there? Why did he do this? How did this come about? While the whole contingency plan thing sounds like everything I've read so far and everything I've seen seems like a failed effort for the Empire. And while the First Order didn't really spawn from that, it kind of spawned from that, you know?
Right. Yeah. So the other direction I could see these Sith troopers being from is, you know, after Kylo Ren's been ruling the galaxy for a while, they could be his, like, elite troops, his, you know, elite guard or something. You know, I understand he has the Knights of Ren, but those would be like his covert operatives.
I could see this being his loyalists
Yeah.
in a growing factionalized First Order.
Gotcha. So the First Order is going to be fighting amongst itself.
Yeah,
and
which
these
would
guys are his guys.
which would give time for the rise of a new rebellion,
Right.
because the First Order is in the midst of a power struggle of its own.
Right. Between Hux and Ren.
Those would be the obvious players.
Correct. Yeah. Makes sense.
So, the one faction being not so happy about Kylo Ren's takeover, him being the usurper,
Right.
and obviously those loyal to him.
Yeah.
So, I don't know. We'll
Hey,
see.
We'll find out in a few months, right?
Yeah. Like I said, the every rumor I see is like, you got to explain this away, and this is the end. Remember that. So,
Right. I think we're running up against again a point where people are going to be going into this having their own ideas of how things should be, and you know, some of them might be disappointed. We'll see.
well, guaranteed, there's going to be some people disappointed.
Yeah. Hey, like we said earlier in the show, just go in there and try to have a good time with it, right?
Yeah, let's have some fun. But all right. If you have anything to add to that, you can always email us, show@thewarsandmore.com. It's the best place to get a hold of us. But we're also on social media, at The Wars and More on Twitter, facebook.com/thewarsandmore. You can find all of that and all the ways to find the show over at thewarsandmore.com. Any final thoughts this week, Doug?
No, I think that about covers it.
And this is the part where I'll say, all right, we'll talk next week. But next week, we're going to take the week off, and we are going to get ready for our big episode 100. So in 2 weeks, we'll be back.